Welcome to the channel viewers. Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Narcissistic karma. Narcissistic abuse is emotional abuse, where the abuser, deep in their roots, not necessarily superficially, only cares about themselves, particularly in intimate relationships, and may use words and actions to manipulate their intimate partner or partner's behavior and emotional state. The effects of narcissism and its abuse will vary depending on how long one can endure these types of relationships. And the effects range from mild to severe, with some survivors recovering while others may sustain lifelong damage. Here's how narcissistic abuse can impact your life. Anxiety. Many narcissistic abuse survivors live with anxiety. After experiencing narcissistic abuse, many may experience extreme fear or anxiety in relationships with new people. Those who leave abusive relationships may experience separation anxiety, which leads them to feel panicked and disoriented when they're not with their abusers. You may have symptoms including anxiety attacks, panic attacks, hypervigilance after being abused by a narcissist, and know that these symptoms will ease over time, particularly if you can work through your trauma with a professional. The next one is a big one, depression. Many narcissistic abuse survivors have experienced or developed depression. Survivors often struggle with feelings of worthlessness after months or years of being told how useless and stupid they are by their abuser. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be told anything. Sometimes it can just be passive-aggressive silence, covert narcissism traits working against you, subtly abusing you. And after years of being manipulated and gaslighted, you may also isolate yourself, which can make feelings of depression worse. Another thing that you may suffer from as a narcissistic abuse survivor is post-traumatic stress. You will likely have symptoms of post-traumatic stress, maybe even complex post-traumatic stress. Your brain will be on high alert, looking out for danger. And this is because the traumatic events triggered a fight or flight response in your nervous system. As a result, anything associated with those memories can trigger an anxiety attack. And after experiencing narcissistic abuse, you may feel the need to be on guard 24/7. Many victims of narcissism often mention that they never knew what their abuser was going to do next. You may struggle to relax because of chronic hypervigilance and expecting them, the abuser, to be around every corner. You may also steer clear of certain situations or things that remind you of abuse, and this can range from avoiding certain places or particular people. You may also suffer a loss of sense of self and self-worth. You may feel as if you have completely lost yourself. And narcissistic abuse is a form of brainwashing, and as such, it can destroy your sense of self-worth. You may no longer feel like the person you were before all this began, and I can vouch for that personally. In many cases, those who have experienced narcissistic abuse will struggle to recognize themselves in the mirror because they no longer see their true reflection staring back at them. Narcissistic abuse survivors also have trust issues with other people, especially those closest to them, and constantly find themselves doubting and second-guessing themselves. Narcissistic abuse survivors may begin to feel like they are not good enough, or that they did something to cause the abuse in the first place. And this can lead to shame and embarrassment, which may often stop them from reaching out for help. Narcissistic abuse survivors may also have trouble making decisions. They may get confused by simple decisions, or they might feel unable to make any decision at all. And narcissistic abuse survivors will often try to derail their goals and aspirations. They want to control everything. These abusers want to derail your goals and aspirations and want to control everything about you down to activities that made up who you were as a person. You may have an inability to forgive yourself. After experiencing narcissistic abuse, many victims struggle with feeling unworthy. I remember I had a woman who told me she felt unworthy. It was before I come along. Or believing that they deserve how the narcissist treated them. They deserved it. But that's not necessarily true. This is what they tell themselves. And it may feel like there must be something inherently wrong with them if someone who was supposed to love them unconditionally used their power against them in such cruel ways. They might struggle with low self-esteem and believe that the narcissistic abuser would have treated them better if only they had have done things differently. And I don't know what happened in my last relationship, but I think she could have done a whole lot of things differently. And so could have I. You may, the narcissistic survivor, also have trouble focusing on goals and dreams. This could be, because they're still preoccupied with thoughts of what happened to them, or it could be that their sense of self-worth is so damaged, it's difficult for them to believe that anything good could happen in their life anymore. Physical symptoms could be as such after experiencing narcissistic abuse. They may live with physical symptoms including headaches, I can vouch for that, stomach aches, or body aches. They may also have difficulty sleeping after experiencing narcissistic abuse. They may be stressed out about what happened and find it difficult to shut off the brain at night. And they could end up having nightmares that haunt them for days afterwards. Narcissistic abuse victims can suffer from cognitive problems, and it may become difficult for them to concentrate on everyday tasks such as completing work or even just watching TV. Memories of traumatic events are known to interfere with concentration and focus. Memory loss, especially short-term, this is because the brain releases a surge of stress hormones when traumatized, affecting the hippocampus region of the brain. The narcissistic abuse victim can also suffer emotional lability. And after going through a traumatic event such as narcissistic abuse, it's common to suffer sudden mood swings accompanied by irritability. Or you may find yourself feeling emotionless and like a robot. I felt like a robot at the end of my last relationship. You might experience depersonalization, where it feels as if everything around you is not accurate. The narcissistic abuse survivor might even feel that they need to extract revenge against the abuser, but this hatred towards the abuser only creates more stress and anxiety, which perpetuates into mental health problems. The narcissistic abuse survivor can also suffer a loss of self-worth, and they might feel like they don't even know themselves anymore. They could start questioning their self-worth, have trust issues with other people, especially those closest to them, and I believe in some cases that'd be fair, because it was the people that were closest to my partners that destroyed the relationships. They were the narcissists. And they may constantly find themselves doubting or second-guessing themselves. And I've found that a lot of these mothers that allow their children to take over their lives do end up with all sorts of mental problems. They may begin to feel like they are not good enough, or that they did something to cause the abuse in the first place. And this can lead to shame and embarrassment, which may often stop them from reaching out for help. The narcissistic abuse survivor may also have trouble making decisions due to a lack of self-worth, and they may get confused by simple decisions, or they might feel unable to make any decisions at all. You can get stuck in a cycle after experiencing narcissistic abuse, and many people find themselves stuck in a cycle where their abuser continues to contact them after the relationship has ended, and I don't recommend anybody do that. They may act nice also, which is also called hoovering. After the vacuum cleaner, they're trying to suck you back in an attempt to get you back. They'll issue threats or attempt to manipulate you by making you feel sorry for them. And this can be a tactic used by narcissists to keep their victims trapped in the cycle of abuse. Trust issues after experiencing narcissistic abuse will send trust levels very low. While this could seem like a good thing in some ways, it could also hinder the future of the narcissistic abused person's relationships. And this issue may lead to other problems such as social anxiety. They might find themselves constantly wondering whether people are being truthful with them, or if they're just manipulating them emotionally to get what they want. And they may become hypervigilant and overly sensitive to criticism or judgment from others due to the fear of being betrayed again. They may struggle with trust issues in all aspects of their life, including personal relationships, friendships, work interactions, or even contact with family members. They may also experience insecure attachment, which means that they may constantly feel that people will leave or betray them. Narcissistic abuse survivors can also become people pleasers and try to make people like themselves. They may become overly accommodating to get approval from others after having had to walk on eggshells for so long. They might struggle with expressing their emotions and thoughts after narcissistic abuse because of the fear of being judged for what they say. And to avoid confrontation from a narcissistic abuser, they will likely bottled up all their feelings. And I found this with my last partner. She just would not express herself. Not because of me, but because of life before me. Self-destructive habits. Another effect of narcissistic abuse can be self-destructive habits, and people who have been in relationships with narcissists often feel the need to punish themselves because they may feel as though they were at fault for their partner's bad behavior toward them. You may experience problems with addictions such as drinking, smoking, and even food addiction, or overspending, gambling, etc. These addictions may be used to numb the emotional pain. How to heal from narcissistic abuse? Well, narcissistic abuse has the potential to destroy the foundation of most people's lives irreparably. I tell you what, I must have been lucky. Goodness me, I've been on the edge of all of these. It takes time and energy to heal from betrayal, heartbreak, gaslighting, and financial losses caused by an abusive partner. And what's more, you may have lost friends and family members along the way due to self-isolation. You are struggling, and it's important to find ways to heal, and here are some suggestions. Recognize and accept your feelings. You may experience a range of emotions such as grief, depression, anger, and anxiety. Whatever you are feeling, it's valid, and it's important not to suppress those feelings or judge yourself for having them. The next thing you could do is educate yourself and learn the traits of a narcissist and what constitutes narcissistic abuse to more easily recognize when you are being manipulated. Another thing you could do is join a support group, and there are many communities on the internet and in real life for people who have had similar experiences. You may find it therapeutic to interact with others who understand exactly what you're going through and can offer tips and advice to help you cope. Another form of advice would be reach out to a therapist or a counselor. A therapist can help equip you with tools to cope with and heal from narcissistic abuse in a safe and non-judgmental space. Another thing you could do would be practice self-care. And when your self-esteem has taken a hit, it's easy to feel like you don't deserve anything good for yourself. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's essential to take care of yourself and make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy food, and engaging in activities that you find enjoyable. After being involved with someone who's narcissistic, you may find yourself developing one or more of these effects. You'll likely develop some negative coping mechanisms, including people-pleasing behaviors and/or self-destructive habits after experiencing such an ordeal. These are common responses among those who go through situations like this. So know that there is nothing unusual about feeling the way you do. This is Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Narcissistic abuse can cripple the mind and trouble it relentlessly after the breakdown of a relationship. Plenty of rest, good food, relaxation, counseling, self-reflection, and allowing the mind to set itself free from the bondage and hostage powers of narcissistic wounding. If you resonate with this video, please like and subscribe, share. This is Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.